Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing in a vehicle that I don't think a lot of people truly enjoy playing in World of Tanks. It is the Churchill 7. And not only am I playing the Churchill 7, I'm playing it in the worst possible matchup against Tier 8 tanks. Yeah, this one could be a bit of a brutal one. Okay, so firstly, how have I decided to set up the Churchill 7? Well, of course, in true QuickyBaby fashion, we had to slap a turbo on it. But honestly, I know it's probably going to become a bit of a meme, but it truly, in my opinion, is the right thing to do on this vehicle. By putting a turbo on this vehicle, you're boosting up the speed from 20 to 24. Of course, that is going to be a 20% increase to the top speed limit of this tank, while also giving it a little bit more grunt in the engine to be able to allow it to achieve that kind of speed. One of the reasons why I think a vehicle like this and also a vehicle like the Black Prince are pretty horrible tanks to play is because they're so slow to be able to get into the initial engagements, which are usually the engagements that actually influence whether the battle is going to be won or lost. These mid-tier British heavy tanks can't quite manage to get there to be effective while it counts. So by putting on the turbo, hopefully we're going to go and we'll influence the battle, even if we are the bottom tier tank. So let's talk a little bit about the Churchill 7. I don't think I've ever featured this one on the channel, though I've played it quite a lot on Twitch when people vote for it in the polls, because let's be honest, the Churchill vehicles are iconic. They look absolutely amazing. I think they look like great tanks. The way that the tracks actually go over the top of the hull looks great inside World of Tanks, but it's actually horrific with regards to how the vehicle can be tracked. Against a Churchill, you can pretty much just shoot it right in the front of the tracks and also damage the hull, because of course the hull is behind the tracks. Unlike most tanks in the game, you can't just shoot the tracks and also damage the tank. So it's one of the major weaknesses of the vehicle. Oh, don't you love playing tier 6 tech tree tanks and having top tier premium vehicles 2 tiers higher than you firing gold at you? Well, how about we return the favor? The Churchill has a 77mm gun, the same gun that's on the Comet, and I know that gun pretty well, with the Comet being I think my third most played tank inside the game. So I know how to make the Comet work, and by plowing through the front of this T-44-100, we just dealt nearly 600 damage to the front of the Tier 8 Soviet medium tank, whose hull armor was not angled and was rather weak. That T-44-100 was probably sitting in this game thinking, oh, absolute chance to be able to feast here. Well, not quite. We've already shut down one of their top tier medium tanks, and hopefully we're going to be able to shut down a few more. Alright, so in this scenario, the Churchill has a great rate of fire. I've added a gun rammer and vents to this vehicle to maximize the close quarters combat capacity of this vehicle in its DPM. But I have another dangerous tier 8 British tank managing to come around the corner, and that is the AT-15. This thing has tremendous DPM, and the last thing that I want is to be able to sit in front of its gun. So instead, why don't I just track it? Why don't I hold it in place? Why don't I take advantage of the weak point on top of the tank to be able to punish it there? This Tiger on the enemy team, the tier 7 German heavy tank, as if it needs an introduction, is plowing forward to try and help the AT-15, and clearly this AT-15, so frustrated by the fact that he's getting flanked, decides to YOLO down the slope at the Rudy to then probably finish him off and then turn his attention to me. But it did not work out. I kind of pulled back a little bit there, worried about getting shot by the Tiger, but I decided I had to try and engage and shut down the AT-15 while they were out in the open. And I have to say, this T-29 on my team, Gone Shrek, is doing a fantastic job, and we are going to develop some awesome synergy with this T-29. Alright, looks like this Tiger has had enough. I don't need gold rounds to be able to deal with this Tiger. We plow him, and up to 2,200 damage within the first 4 minutes of the battle. What an impact for a bottom tier tech tree tank. So I ping the map on the left, clearly indicating that it's best to attack the AT-8 from 2 directions rather than both going one direction. So by going around the right here and hopefully synergizing with the T-29, we're going to be able to keep this game in our team's favor. But even with the impact that we've had, that we've managed to take out 4 vehicles between us, our team is still down by 1 vehicle. So I asked the T-29 to help me. I'm going to come around the corner, put 1 shot into the top of the AT-8. That thing's armor is tremendous, and I am going to still have to fire gold at it, even though it is a an equal tier TD. I'm hoping the T-29 can go around the corner and finish him off. I'm going to put 1 into the top. And look how the AT-8 wants to shoot at me and not the T-29. And fair play to him. Maybe he decided, wow, the Churchill's lower health, I'll be able to finish him off, and I'm not going to really be able to do anything to stop the T-29 from being able to flank me. But that kind of awareness you have to have there. If you're the low health tank, don't just bundle round the corner and expect the enemy vehicle to shoot the first tank that comes round, right? You should also be aware that possibly people are sneaky, possibly people can be a little bit salty, and maybe they want to try and secure the kill on the vehicle that they feel has pushed them back enough, and that would have been me in that case. So once again, Gon Sharek here, and the T-29 manages to shut down the 88. I always call it the 86 because it's at tier 6 and the naming procedure is confusing for me on the British vehicles. It goes 85, 88, 87. Yeah, it's a bit stupid down the British tank destroyer tech tree. So I call for my team to defend the base. I use my Z key there to actually say thank you to the T-29. It's definitely one of Wargaming's best features now, that if you hold down your Z key while you're looking at a friendly vehicle, irrelevant of where they are on the map, you can actually say, give them a thumbs up. You can give them a big thank you. So Wargaming, I must give you massive respect for what you have done with the new communications features. I know I've been talking about it a lot, but for me, we're playing a multiplayer game, and that's one of the most rewarding experiences, is try to work together with your allies to try and maximize your impact, and it will increase your win ratio as well if you're able to get them working together and effective. Okay, so now that the T-29 dealt with the Renegade on that corner, or was it that he dealt with a T-29 on the enemy team who actually dealt with a Renegade on our team? Now what we need to do is decide, do we need to go back into base, or do we try and flank? And when you're in a very slow vehicle, like the Churchill 7, even with a turbo, it is an incredibly slow tank, you have to put a lot of thought process into where you need to go next. So I figured out, well, I need to immediately go back to base because I thought that the enemy's vehicles were going to be able to overwhelm my team. But then I quickly realized that we have a T-28. That is a fearsome tier 8 British. Sorry, American. Could have been British, right? Oh dear, have I ruined the commentary on this video? Possibly. American non-turreted tank destroyer on full hit points, who I think is going to be able to hold this corner. So instead, I decide to flank up the slope with my T-29 friend to be able to hopefully turn the fire on the Stura Mill and the Cromwell, who I expect to be camping in this corner. Alright, so the Churchills, that's how long it took it to get up the slope. I had enough time to fly around the map and make a sort of faux pas about American, British, kind of. Let's not go there again. Let's move on. Okay, we're playing a British tank, QB. Stay on track, okay? So I'm here alongside my buddy in the T-29, now hopefully going to deal with the Stura Mill. You see that I mouse over him and I say that, bud, I'm going to help you by holding down my Z key. And I guess he probably didn't need me to finish off the Churchill, but we can do this together. I'm going to ask the T-29. I'm going to warn him that the artillery's up in the northeastern corner, and I'm hoping that the T-29 is going to push. Now, we don't want to get ourselves into a crossfire. Once again, I try to reassure the T-29 that I am going to help him, and I'm going to do that. I promised that I would help him out. He's got the good alpha damage. He's taken the artillery stun, but I'm able to finish off the Stura Mill to supplement his damage there before possibly the German tank destroyer could have reloaded. Now it's about getting into safety, getting into cover, hiding in the rocks, and trying to think about how we deal with what is still a tricky situation. Really, our key strength in this game is the fact that we have a full health T-28, but it's a slow, cumbersome tank, a lot like my Churchill. And so if the enemies can manage to either flank the T-28, maybe double cap our base, go all the way back round and try and flank, and you can see that I'm suggesting to my team that instead of making our way across the center of the map where this T-29 is going now, that instead it would probably be a better idea to either go and pressure towards the cap circle, or alternatively to even double back and go through the middle of the map and then go this way. The reason why I think that this is safer to go than the other way is because if the enemy team was still up in the northeastern corner and we try to flank down and around here, that they might be able to get crossfire from up in those bushes and the trees around there, which will be incredibly awkward for us. However, the VK appears behind me. I don't react immediately, but I turn my turret round as quickly as I can to bare my arms at the higher tier German medium tank. So now the T-29 completely out of position. The artillery as well. The T-29 is getting slapped by what looks like a Rudy as well for 131 damage, or maybe that was the VK above me. So the VK actually comes around the corner, bounces off the front of my tank. The artillery splashes him, but only managing to stun him and doesn't manage to finish off the remaining 12 hit points. We also see that the Rudy is actually in the northern corner, meaning the Rudy was not the one that was shooting the T-29. And while I am making my way up this slope slowly, this is the fastest that any Churchill has made its way up the slope, I guess. with the fact that we are using the turbo on the tank, will it be enough for us to chase down this VK3002? Probably not, but at least we have to just keep trundling forwards. You have to use your momentum in your British vehicles. And luckily for me, the T-28 manages to shut down the Rudy, giving us an opportunity to keep advancing through here, to possibly get my T-29 back in the game, who's lost a lot of his hit points by making his way up that slope. And then to be able to flank the enemies together. I've got to be a little bit careful here. Obviously the VK3002 has got a 220 alpha damage gun, I believe, or it could even be 240. But with 254 I should be okay. But that's the least of my concerns right now, and that's because there's an artillery that's trying to get into a very sneaky position. Now I was thinking, wow, nice blind shot, mate, good try. What I was thinking at this stage is, why would the artillery leave the corner? Obviously the artillery is worried about the T-29 and M44 flanking, but that also suggests to me that the artillery is either planning an ambush from up in that position, but more importantly, that it suggests to me that the VK will be trying to help the artillery in this location. Or that alternatively, the VK might have instead gone round here and possibly be in the southwest part of the map, but I don't have time to mess around. I've got to be aggressive, and we can see that the VK is actually above me now. So I'm going to quickly finish off this M44 as quickly as I can, and it looks like I'm actually tunnel visioning right now. Wow, awful play by me. I actually had about a 5-second delay on my reactions there to realize that the VK, I was obviously very focused on dealing with the artillery, but I'm just hoping, come on VK, make my day. And that is a 3,400 damage game in the Churchill with 5 kills as a bottom tier heavy tank. So a cracking result here in the Churchill 7. We managed to get our ace tanker for 1,608 base experience points, but the high caliber was achieved by Goncharek for doing 3,632 damage. Now during the battle I realized that there was possibly an opportunity to get a Brothers in Arms medal here, and I felt the team play that we had with Goncharek to be able to get our way through that situation against higher tier vehicles surely deserved it. I tried to invite them during the battle, but quite rightly so, they had their platoon invites disabled, just like I have, because otherwise I get quite a few of them occasionally. But I took great pleasure in contacting him immediately after the battle, saying, GG, well played, you did great in the T-29. And this is really what I've been enjoying more in World of Tanks recently than I ever have done before. And that is by using these new communication features to try and get people working together. It just feels so much more rewarding for me, and it's the reason why I play multiplayer games in the first place. Sure, sometimes I want to be a little bit selfish and try and get the result myself, or sometimes you're even competing against players individually, like in the ranked game mode. Still doesn't mean you can't work with them, and this was just a beautiful, wonderful game that I loved playing with you, Goncharek, here, so a big shout out to you, my friend. And hopefully all of you enjoyed the fact that we played the Churchill in the worst possible matchup. I know a lot of you want to see more mid-tier replays on this channel, and especially ones where we're not top tier and we have to deal with tricky situations. I hope you all enjoyed this video because of it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up if you want to see more like this, or if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments what you think about the Churchill tanks. Do you think they're absolutely awful? Do you think they're absolutely incredible? Were they one of the first vehicles you wanted to go for if you're a proud Brit like me? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.